All right, first little nature journaling outing. I've been here for a few days in the Amazonian part of Ecuador, but haven't done that much nature journaling because I've been super busy catching up on stuff. Now I have a chance to do some nature journaling here. I'm in these are sort of headwaters of the Amazon. So this is still considered Amazonia, tropical rainforest, as you can see. It's rained all day yesterday, and I'm about to see if I can get some nature journaling in here. Wow, look at this. That's supposed to be a bridge. Woo! All right, let's do some nature journaling in the Amazon. So I'm about to get out my watercolors, but that's always a dangerous proposition when you're in a location with probably 100% humidity and large droplets of water falling from the sky. So because of that, I started with a really strong foundation with black ink. This is the Pilot Fudoyaku pen that I always use. It has gray ink and black ink, so that gives me a lot of tonal options, so I can capture a lot of that information and don't have to depend on the watercolor too much. This page would stand alone without watercolor. It also is, oh, there we go, just a large drop of water fell right there. It is waterproof ink, so once it is fully dry, you can see that the water doesn't mess it up, but those large droplets will be an issue if I start a watercolor painting and I don't want everything to be wet on wet. But look at how my paper, my Stillman & Burn 150 GSM paper, is holding up to the Amazonian rainforest there, and the black ink from the Fudoyaku pen is doing fine even with that drop of water sitting on the page. So I'm going to start with watercolor, but this is one great reason to start with ink and build a strong foundation with ink. Pencil would not work as well in this environment either. Starting with ink and getting that strong foundation is really important. All right, I think that's pretty good for a jungle landscapeito, really quick watercolor. A couple tips about doing watercolor in the jungle. Obviously, keep it small. Keeping it small is super useful. Starting, like I said, with lots of these values put in by your principal drawing tool. Your ink drawing tool is really useful. Keeping it small and pushing the values for sure, using dry brush if you can, and trying to get that sense of depth, and sort of prioritizing your shapes. Another thing that I recommend for watercolor in the jungle is not using the sort of armband, old sock on the wrist that a lot of nature journalers use in temperate climates. I prefer just using a small piece of paper towel. Having a large wet thing on your wrist is problematic and is hard to dry, can mold and stuff, and just getting a little piece of even toilet paper that you can quickly use for blotting, and can be, unfortunately, it is disposable, but I think it is worth it, having a little bit of that. Another trick that I recently learned, I've often used the heel of my hand for sort of blotting my paper. It can be problematic. If you warm it up by rubbing it on your body and then pressing it down onto the paper, that is a great way to dry watercolor slightly more quickly, which is really useful when you're in an environment such as the jungle. So I've got a little bit of a page going on here. I'm going to be careful as this dries. I also like to hold my journal this way as much as possible when I'm in a situation where water is falling from the sky. If your paper is presented this way, that's just a lot more surface area for drops to fall on. So if you always get in the habit of holding your journal like this, that's a lot less surface area for water to fall on than if the whole page is presented that way. So as I walk around, I'm going to keep my journal like this. I also have my sketching kit hidden underneath my rain jacket, which is really useful because you don't want errant drops of water or bugs and other creepy crawlies falling into your nature journaling bag. All right, so I finished my half page here, nature journaling in the jungle. And one thing that I think is important, especially for intermediate and advanced nature journalers or people who come to nature journaling from more of an aesthetic background, is it's really easy to forget to follow your curiosity. So for example, there is a very interesting chopped down tree here, and the tree is rooting. I need to be careful where I step because I think I saw bullet ants down here, but the tree is rooting in really cool ways, and you can see that there's actually, upon a closer look, there's multiple trees here, and one of them looks to be like a strangler fig or something like that. And I think that's really interesting, and there's already a cross section here because the way these trees have been cut down, there is a perfect cross section for me to look at here. Now, I also, as someone with an aesthetic background, know that this is going to be, and as an advanced nature journaler, I know that this is going to be a challenging subject to draw. You know, for example, I could just instead draw this huge philodendron leaf and fill a whole page and just do sort of like a leaf portrait of this philodendron leaf. That, however, is less interesting to me intellectually than this stump and this log with the strangler fig and the epiphytes and all of this interesting stuff going on. Oh yeah, I think that's the bullet ant right there. That is a big black ant that I don't want to make mad at me. So instead of, you know, doing the easy aesthetic thing, I chose to try to draw the log and follow my curiosity. And so remember, if you're an intermediate or advanced nature journaler, know what your intention is. If your intention is just to take the easy route and choose the subject matter that is going to lend itself towards like an aesthetically pleasing page, then go ahead and by all means do that. But if one of your goals or one of your intentions for nature journaling is to use nature journaling as a tool to follow your curiosity and learn more in nature and build that dopamine engine of intellectual stimulation in nature, especially somewhere as rich as the rainforest, and help with your memory and leave a story for future reference, then by all means, if that is your intention, then try to nature journal those things that are interesting to you, even if you know it might be an aesthetically challenging subject and might not lend itself to a sort of Victorian lady botanical illustration. And if you want to sort of toe the line between those two things, then go back and forth, you know, do a couple leaves, do a couple landscapitos, and then give yourself a little bit of space on the page to follow those sort of more interesting, curiosity-driven types of nature journaling that might not produce the aesthetically simple and beautiful composition. Another jungle tip, a lot of times when I'm nature journaling, I like to walk around with my journal out and everything like that. In the jungle, if you're going to be walking, I do recommend, you know, putting it away every once in a while, just because there's errant drops of water, things like that. And always put your journal away. Always put your journal away before crossing creeks, especially if it's on a sketchy, slippery bamboo bridge like this. So I'm going to put my journal away in my pack and have all my hands free before crossing this bridge. Sometimes when you're nature journaling in the jungle, it's good to act like a kid. So instead of walking across the bridge, I decided to get my feet wet in this little creek. And a lot of times I take the sort of more intellectual route, and I don't do these sort of things that the kid inside of me wants to do and actually feel things in nature. But a lot of times when you do follow that impetus, you will learn new things. So as soon as I stepped into the water, I saw a bunch of little fish swimming and darting around in the pool here, and that's something that I wouldn't have noticed if I just walked across on the bridge. So follow sometimes those inner child sort of intuitions to be more playful and to touch things, step in water, feel your way around, use your other senses in the environment. Ooh, big spider web. Don't forget to have fun and touch things and do a connection to nature that can be more embodied, and mix that with your nature journaling. Whoa. All right, that was a fun little exploration, nature journaling in the jungle before breakfast. Luckily, I did have one little coffee, but ooh, bullet ant. Fun little exploration, nature journaling in the tropical rainforest on the Amazonian part of Ecuador. And ooh, check that out. if you want to help me spread nature journaling and make the world a better place through nature journaling, check out my Patreon. It's an awesome community. You can get behind the scenes sneak peeks into some of my videos. We have traveling art supplies that you can try out at no extra cost to you. You can sign up for as little as $5 a month and be part of that community and help make the world a better place through nature journaling. Check out the link here to learn more about it. Thanks to all my current patrons. You're amazing. And if you can't wait all the way until next week for the next episode of the show, check out these videos here. Bye.